Did they deal with racism at all in Canada?
My dad told me some stories. When he came here, you either spoke English or Cantonese. But he didn't speak either. He spoke Mandarin or Taiwanese. He's trying to look for a job. He'd be like, you don't speak Cantonese? Nope, sorry. So I heard about this hospitality in Taiwan, and I was excited to experience. So I asked for directions, and that worker was just like, it's over there. He had a very sour, frustrated face too. I was like, what?
Cole Fogel here, and today I am with a special guest.
Daniel.
And Daniel, you are from?
I was born and raised in Canada, but my parents were born and raised in Taiwan.
What part are they from?
My dad's mainly from the north, Taipei, I guess. It's funny because I think you know more about Taiwanese geography than I do.
Probably.
Having spent there years there. So interesting to see so many non-Taiwanese people spend so much more time in Taiwan than I have and know so much more about Taiwan and seen so much of Taiwan than I have. How many years have you spent in Taiwan?
I was 20 when I arrived in Taiwan, so and I'm 45 now, so
25 years?
Yeah, but on and off, probably closer to 20 years if we're talking about actually being in Taiwan.
Right.
But since 1999 till present time.
This is kind of a basic question, but what are some of the culture shocks for you? That you were
when I arrived in Taiwan, I mean the scooter culture, obviously.
But what about with people and social expectations?
I mean, communication was obviously a big one for me, and I would say I still don't speak the level of Chinese that I would like to be able to speak.
Yeah.
But being an English teacher for so many years, I'd be at schools where they would have a no Chinese speaking policy.
I've heard of that.
Try to practice, you'd get a manager or a boss giving you attitude.
That's weird. I don't know if I agree with that.
And I think it makes the kids feel more comfortable if you can speak their language a little bit. It makes them feel closer to you.
Yeah, that might be a dumb rule.
Current boss, thankfully, she's all good with me using it as much as I want.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it is what I just said. They do feel closer to me because I speak a little bit of Chinese. So I guess the language was obviously the culture shock of it. Taiwanese can wait in line for 2 hours to buy something.
I've heard about that.
It's just a normal thing for them. Oh, this must be a good place because there's a long line. I'm going to wait here for 2 hours.
What's something that you as a Canadian, a Canadian in Taiwan, have actually been I'm willing to wait for, 30 minutes. I
won't wait in line at Costco for tiny little samples.
No,
It's just not worth it to me, which in Taiwan they will.
Okay.
It's guys, it's so small, it's not worth the wait. I would wait in line for some of the food there. It's worth it.
The street food?
Yeah, if I was gonna get like pork belly and rice or whatever, which is kong ro. Do you speak Chinese?
Yeah.
Kong ro fan.
Yeah.
There are some places that are popular that there could be a lineup.
Okay. Street food.
Street food, yeah. If you went to a night market, if you see a long line, you need to wait in that line because that's going to be the food you want to eat.
Yeah, every year in the summer they have a night market in Richmond. But I'm sure it doesn't compare to the ones in Taiwan. They try their best here, right?
I mean, but it would be Taiwanese people probably selling some of the food.
There are some Taiwanese booths, and there's some I guess Cantonese Hong Kong booths as well. And
so what is there more of in Vancouver? Is there more Taiwanese, Cantonese, or a mix?
I've heard my dad tell Taiwanese stories because he came here in '91, and when he came here, you either spoke English or Cantonese. Not French. You might think it's French because we're bilingual. But he didn't speak either. He spoke Mandarin or Taiwanese. And so when he came here, even though there were a lot of Chinese people here, they were all Cantonese speaking. So even though he saw some Chinese people, he comes and he starts speaking Mandarin, and then they'll be like, nope, he's trying to look for a job. He'd be like, you don't speak Cantonese? Nope, sorry. But he also didn't speak English, so it was very hard for them, my parents, in the beginning. There weren't a lot here back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't until 94, 95 that there was a wave of Taiwanese immigrants.
Did they deal with racism at all in Canada? At the time when they first came here? Was there any of that?
My dad told me some stories. I mean, I think there might have been some cases where there might have been a misunderstanding. Even if it's not necessarily the language, it might have been
cultural
a joke
difference
or sarcasm that he doesn't understand, and he might have taken it the wrong way.
He took it personally, right?
He might have taken it the wrong way.
Yeah, because there is definitely a lot of sarcasm in North America, I would say. We do like to joke a lot.
But he talked about, he mentioned, when he first came here, he had to find any kind of job, construction, concrete warehousing, cutting grass or whatever, right? And there was a site where he was the only Asian person, and he told me that they might have given him some like offhanded comments or something, but that he didn't understand, and he didn't know what they were saying, and so he sort of felt like alienated in that way. But I wasn't there. I don't know what exactly they said, so I don't know if it was actually some like straight up racism or if it was if it was.
I'm sure it was a bit of both.
A bit of both, maybe.
You know, like I think Canada now, it's so multicultural that I mean it's probably
progressive,
even in some ways more Asian and more like
Richmond for
Richmond would be all Asian probably. Is that where I would want to live if I moved back to Canada? Because I would feel like a little bit of Taiwan there. Like
they're not necessarily Taiwanese though. They're more Cantonese and mainland Chinese.
But I would have my local fruit markets and supermarkets all around me and that kind of.
Yes, there is a Taiwanese supermarket there called Guohua.
And
so that's where you would get the Taiwanese snacks.
Well, TNT also is good.
TNT has some,
but it's a mix.
But it is a mix of some Cantonese, some mainland Chinese.
I went there yesterday, and because I'm gonna make authentic Taiwanese breakfast for my friend Mark, who's here.
Oh,
I'm gonna make dan bean.
Okay.
And then I was thinking like stinky tofu. If there was like cho tofu, I was kind of wanting to add that, but I didn't see it there.
You know what's funny about stinky tofu? So I don't know if you
have you tried it?
I have, but I don't know if you read my profile. I was born without a sense of smell.
Oh.
And so I've never smelled stinky tofu before.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've eaten it and it's fine.
Well, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Wait, you have no sense of smell?
Zero sense of smell. My sister was also born without a sense of smell.
That's very interesting because I feel like it's a blessing for the bad smells and it's unfortunate for the good smells, right?
And there's also a gas leak, I wouldn't be able to know. There was one time when my dad was cooking Chinese herbs and he had to leave the house and he was like, look at it, don't go away. There's something that I wanted to do upstairs. So I went upstairs, but I forgot to come back downstairs.
Oh my God.
And then I decided to take a nap because I was just tired. And my dad came home. And it was all burnt. Thankfully, I guess he came home in time before like something sort of happened, but it was all black. And he was like, didn't you smell the smoke? And I was like, oh, no, I didn't.
Dad, did you remember I don't have a sense of smell?
Yeah. So I have taste buds. I can taste, but...
Yeah, so you can appreciate flavor.
Yes, but I have to put it in my mouth before I sense anything.
What a weird thing. Like to appreciate flavor, but not...
Not the smell. Even if you put it here, I can't sense anything. I have to put it in my tongue. You get a lot more flavor if you can smell. Taste is 15 to 20%, and then the other 80% is the smell.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you live on your own? Do you live with your family still?
I'm with my family right now.
Which is a very Taiwanese thing, right? It's cheaper to live with your family.
Especially in Vancouver.
And I like, especially in Vancouver, and I like Taiwanese culture, like to take care of your parents when they get older. Because Canadians are just like, send them to an old age home in a lot of cases. Who does most of the cooking when you're eating at home?
Ooh, I mean, my dad's a chef.
Whoa.
Yes, but he doesn't like to cook. He doesn't cook as much as at home because he's sort of tired when he gets home.
Okay, but next time I come back to Vancouver, I want to go over to your house. I'm inviting myself over. I want to meet your parents and I want them to cook for me. That would be very cool.
They actually opened like one of the first full-on like Taiwanese restaurants in the area. I don't know if I mentioned that before.
Oh my God. Why did I not make a video there?
Maybe. Oh yeah.
Okay, no, that's my next trip here. Where are they? They're in Richmond? Or?
East Van.
East Van.
Yeah.
When your mom or your dad cook at home, is it more Western food or a mix?
So it's funny. Even though I was born and raised here, like 95% of the food that has entered my mouth has been Taiwanese.
Cool. My favorite food is like the kong ro, like the pork belly. Oh, I just it's so good. It just melts. Or niu ro mian.
That's not bad. I used to like, Tongyobing is pretty, it's plain. There's nothing necessarily special on it. That's a good snack.
What's that in English? Tongyobing is?
It's like scallion pancake is what they call it.
Which is actually what I'm using for the dan bean when I make it for my friend.
So
what's your favorite Taiwanese food?
So I like yansuji. Tongyobing's not bad. Niumian's not bad.
How about some of the baozi, like the mantou or like the steam buns?
I'm not a bao person. I used to really like. It's
a lot of carbs.
Guabao. Yes.
Did you watch my guabao video?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, you need to check out my guabao video. Guabao is one of my favorite.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's so satisfying.
When I was a kid, I really liked the peanut powder.
Yeah.
Until one time I had it, but it was not sweet, and I was like, wait, what happened? And until then I realized, oh, they added sugar.
Yeah, I wish they could avoid the sugar part.
Yeah, but I didn't realize like what I liked as a kid was the sugar part. That's what I was loving.
We're all addicted to sugar growing up.
Yeah.
What's your dad's name? His first name?
Calvin.
Like, I wonder what that was like for Calvin, like when he, like probably like it was for me in Taiwan in 1999. Calvin, you said 91, 92?
91, yeah.
Like displaced and just like.
How old were you when you?
I was like 19 or 20.
Oh, okay, so younger than him. He was like 29.
But Taiwanese people, I think the experience would have been more warming to me than maybe it was for him here, because they love foreigners in Taiwan. They're overly hospitable. They're overly generous.
Yeah, there's a different.
They will go out of their way, and if like you're asking for directions, they'll even like get on the back of my scooter and take you to the place and like take an hour out of their day just to help you.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I don't know if that would happen here.
You know what's funny about that though?
Yeah.
I went back to Taiwan last time in 2015.
Yeah, I want to hear. Tell me about your experience going back.
And so I heard about this hospitality in Taiwan, and I was excited to experience it.
But you are Taiwanese looking.
They didn't know that I was a foreigner, so I didn't get it.
Yeah, no, they didn't give it to you.
So I got off the plane.
Was it Taoyuan?
I think it was.
Like near Taipei?
Yeah.
Yeah, Taoyuan.
Probably that one. And I was lost. I rode the plane like by myself. I was lost.
How old were you on this trip?
I would have been 20. So I was lost, and I was like, oh great, I get to, to ask a Taiwanese stranger and experience firsthand that hospitality that I've heard so much about.
Oh, so you approached them in English.
I approached them. That's what I should have done.
That was your mistake. If you spoke Chinese, you messed your...
That's what I should have done.
Yeah.
I spoke in Mandarin, and maybe it was because I didn't have much of an accent when I speak Mandarin, because I think my accent's pretty good. So I asked for directions, and that worker was just like, it's over there. And maybe that was my mistake. I should have spoken in English. But he was just like, it's over there. I was like, whoa. Like, and he had
it's okay.
He had a very like sour, like frustrated face too. I was like, what? And I was like, what? Where was that hospitality?
Oh my God. And then if I walked up to the same guy, he'd say, oh, Nabian over there. And like, maybe he was just having a bad day.
He might have been having a bad day.
You were also in the north. And I think the more south you go, the more relaxed the energy is, I think.
I've heard.
And I live in like...
The south?
Almost as south as you can go. I'm in Kaohsiung, then you have Pindong, which is the farthest south. How long were you there when you went back to visit?
A couple weeks.
Do your parents prefer pharmaceutical or Chinese medicine, like Eastern or Western?
They use both at different times.
Both, right.
Yeah. Have you ever like gone to a Chinese medicine doctor and they feel your pulse?
I love it.
Yeah, they're like,
and they know everything about you. Yeah. They're like, you have irritable bowel syndrome, you have stomach issues, and it's like, really? All from my pulse?
Yeah.
But they're right, though.
Yeah.
Do you think your parents miss Taiwan?
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid growing up here, every morning at breakfast, my mom has Taiwanese news on the side. Like, there's a news station, right? Every morning, there's a car accident.
Oh my God! Oh my gosh! She's watching Taiwanese news every morning.
Every morning, just has it on the...
What's your mom's name?
Jenny.
Jenny, don't watch the news. First of all, any news, it like rots your brain. All news rots your brain.
I grew up with that.
And they show like cartoon images of the accidents.
Of what happened.
And it's why do I need to know that level of detail?
But I had that growing up, like every day. That would
terrify you.
That made me so scared of like getting on a scooter.
Oh my God.
Time. I was just like, I don't, like this is the famous scooter where I might die if I get on the scooter. So like,
I prefer car to scooter. I have both.
Yeah.
And if I drive my family outside of our area, we go in my car. But if we're just going to our local town from where I live, we take the scooter.
Because of that, my impression is if you get on a scooter in Taiwan, every time there's a percentage that you might get into an accident. I had a Taiwanese classmate who didn't grow up here. He came from Taiwan.
Yeah.
And
he told you horror stories.
We had to meet up at a different school, and he wasn't responding to like my text or anything.
Yeah.
It got weird, and then after a while, I was finally able to get a hold of him, and we met up, and then he was just in this really dark mood, and he just said like, my friend from middle school just died.
Oh my God! In Taiwan.
In Taiwan, he was riding a scooter and a truck just killed him.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. That's so sad. No, that's so terrible.
But it just made me go like the next time I go to Taiwan, like I'm.
Yeah, you could rent a car. It's fine.
Yeah, like I'm like if somebody offers, hey, get on my scooter, I'll be like, oh.
All right,
I don't know.
you can come to my small town. We can literally go from my house where I live on a pineapple hill down the hill to my little village, which is a 3-minute drive.
Okay. I think it's like 3,000 people die every year of a traffic accident in Taiwan, something like that.
What do you think it is in Canada?
I think it was like 1,000.
Oh my goodness, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, be mindful on the road.
So you and your wife.
Yes.
So relations can be tough, like even if you're with someone within your own culture.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think made it work for 20 years? A lot of people like these days, it's relationships shorter than they used to be. Like
people get divorced like it's going out of style.
Yeah,
it's like
despite coming from two opposite sides of the world.
So opposite. Yeah.
What made it work for 20 years?
No, we fought like cats and dogs when we got together.
Like about what?
Like she would look psychotic to me sometimes. It's real when I say like Taiwanese women have a fire burning inside them sometimes. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think there's a bit of suppression in the culture.
Sure.
That when it does come out,
inside,
it boils and it boils and it reaches the surface.
It explodes.
Volcanic reaction. And then dormant again.
Sure.
Taiwanese culture, a lot of suppression, and especially I think a lot of women.
Sure.
It's a very male-dominated society. It's starting to change. There's starting to be a level of equality that wasn't there, and you can feel the difference now.
Taiwan is actually, I read, #1 in gender equality in Asia.
Yeah.
And so like I have to imagine like it's even worse than I know like Korea, for example. I know that it's kind of even more so than Taiwan, because I know a lot of like strong Taiwanese women.
Oh no, there are. My wife is one as an example. She'll like put me in my place immediately.
Yeah.
From day one, she put me in my place. But we were just kids when we got together. She was 21, and I was like 23 when we got together. And now I'm 45, and maybe she doesn't want me to say her age, but she's 43 and I'm 45. My wife is a beautiful 43-year-old, and she's my goddess, is what I would say about her. But we grew a lot. Like there were like we had our like moments where we could have divorced, where we were fighting, and maybe I wasn't being enough of this or she wasn't being enough of that. But I promise you, unless it's a really destructive relationship, if you fight through some of those challenges, there's something so magical and beautiful about growing old with someone. Yeah, that is priceless. And I think we do give up on relationships too easily nowadays in society.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to still be with my wife. So I would say the #1 relationship advice I would give is let your partner grow as a human being, and don't expect them to be the same person from the day you met them. Like, accept the shift. We're both going to change. Yeah. And if you can accept that shift, it could be so magical and beautiful. We've had a lot of peeling of onion layers, in both of our existences. That's so beautiful. Like giving each other space to grow, and trust. My wife doesn't want to go out with me and party with my friends, but she trusts that I'm not going to go out and cheat on her and do something bad. She trusts me, but she just said, the only thing I ask of you is don't expect me to join you. I don't really want to go out and live that life, but I will let you do whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, cool. I give her space. She's an introverted person and I'm extroverted, and we accept each other who we are.
Yeah. What about parenting philosophies? Are there differences in any parenting philosophies? Because again, you guys...
She's definitely more bad cop, I'm good cop.
Okay.
She's just a little bit more of that Taiwan mama. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
go
to bed, brush your teeth.
Right.
Like, you have 10 minutes, we have to go to school. Like, she's very good at that role, and it's necessary because children do need structure. Some basic structure and guidance. Prevent them from hurting themselves, teach them how to be respectful to other people, and just show care and love to other people. She's a little bit more like, do your homework. But I can't really help my kids with homework. They go to a Taiwanese school. and it's in Chinese, so she needs to be that person, and I'm kind of grateful because I don't really want to help them with school unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Because I really wasn't a big school guy myself. So I think you're lucky that you got to have a Canadian schooling.
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, I still grew up under my parents' roof, and
they still had some Taiwanese values. Were they homework centric? And did you have to have good marks and good grades and all that?
Well, yes, but it wasn't just that. It was every day after school.
Oh yeah, I want to hear about this.
So, like, for example, all right.
Yeah.
Monday after school, skating lessons. Tuesday after school, swimming lessons. Wednesday after school, violin lessons.
Oh yeah, that's very Taiwan parenting.
No, that's just Wednesday. Thursday, after school, math tutor. Friday after school, English tutor. Saturday morning, piano lesson.
Oh, they had to do the Saturday for you?
And then,
Jenny, Calvin.
6 days a week. I only had Sunday off, but Sunday off, I was at my grandparents' house and it was homework day. And so, like, every day after school was another program. So while
did that affect your social life?
Oh yeah, I mean, every day after kids were going to their friends' houses.
Yeah, right? Chilling.
Yeah, and playing video games or whatever. But for me, it was another class.
So what was the benefit to how they raised you, and what was the positive and what was the negative to that way of growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have been more fine with it if there could have been more dialogue between me and my mom about what I was taking, what I preferred, which teacher I preferred, what course I preferred. I would have been okay with, like, extracurriculars if I had more choice, more of a say, more of an input. As opposed to you're just doing this, you don't have a choice. It's just. I also took. Do you know what an abacus is? Because I had to go to abacus school.
Isn't that a type of Chinese calculator?
It's an ancient Chinese
Yeah, those are wicked.
I
don't know how to use them.
I had to go after school.
Yeah, my wife learned that.
After school, I had to go to abacus class.
That's a cool thing to learn, though.
I appreciate it. It's just, there was just an endless amount of extracurriculars that I didn't have a choice in. If I just had, like, more of an input in what I got to do, and, like, if I got to pick, I would have been okay with.
Pushing your kids a little bit is good, but there needs to be a balance there.
Yeah.
And allowing them to have freedom, to choose, like you were saying, that you didn't get.
Yeah. Like, if you wanted your kids to be a specific way, but your wife had a different opinion, like, how does that clash?
I will go along with her unless I strongly disagree, because she's usually more logical than I am.
Okay, interesting.
Like, I don't care if my son finishes all his homework, because I think there's too much sometimes. But she'll say, baby, if he doesn't finish it, the teacher isn't going to let it go, and I'm going to get phone calls every day.
Yeah.
So I get it. Like, they need to get it done. I get it.
Do your homework for my sake, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'll even say, listen to your mother, like, just do it. And even if the homework is pointless, it will teach you to be disciplined, to do things you don't like to do sometimes. It makes you a stronger person, and it will make it easier to accomplish things if you can accomplish things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So you had Chinese class when you were here?
Yep.
A buppa muffa?
Yep, we did that.
Or whatever,
that's it. You got the tones. Chinese schools are a little easier. Like, after a while, we had a Chinese tutor where we went to their
Was it Taiwanese or Chinese?
She was Taiwanese. But
That's so cool that
she
you
had a strong Chinese identity.
Okay.
Yeah, even though she was, like, Taiwanese, she would say that she's, like, Chinese Taiwanese.
No, I get it, yeah.
I would pronounce things the Taiwanese way, and then she's like, nope, this is the correct way to do it.
And then Taiwanese has even more. It has like 6 to 8 tones. Something I don't know. It's crazy. Do you speak any Taiwanese?
No. So
anything.
Oh,
you don't understand.
Yeah, there you go. You got it.
我听不懂. Li Gong Sa. What are you talking about?
So you picked it up.
因为我的台湾弟弟听不英文听不，所以什么呀?
So my parents used Taiwanese as their secret language.
Oh, I love it.
So that they could communicate without
that's awesome.
So, like, my dad actually, he was a machinist. The only reason why he became a chef was because my grandpa came here on vacation, and he liked it here.
To Vancouver?
Vancouver. I think he was visiting a veteran friend of his
so
here.
Cool.
And one of the things that made him really like Canada was he saw a pedestrian jaywalking, and he saw a car stop for the jaywalker, and he was like, what just happened?
I'm about to say, shout out to Taiwanese people, please stop for pedestrians.
Yeah.
We're human. Yeah. Anyway, so that happened.
My grandfather couldn't believe it. And he said, what is the society that a car would stop?
Which says a lot about the society, right?
And his friends was like, immigrate here, get your family to come here.
Oh, and then they did.
And I think my grandfather was like, there's no work here as a machinist here.
Oh.
But if you learn how to cook, you might be able to open a restaurant here or something.
So that's what he did.
And so he called my dad in Taiwan. He was like, you're going to drop whatever you're doing, go to a restaurant, start to learn how to cook.
Wait, this is 91, 92 that you were talking about, or earlier?
This would have been in like 86.
Oh, wow.
And he spent like 3-4 years just learning how to cook.
In Taiwan?
In Taiwan.
And then moved?
To come here. But my dad didn't want to do that. But he was sort of forced to.
Calvin, you did eventually.
Yeah, he did. But he was successful at something he didn't want to do.
Which is so many people.
Yeah, that kind of like had a huge influence over me where like I had to do something, I have to be successful at something I don't want to do. Like that was always sort of like a mantra that I got.
Yeah, which is most people everywhere.
Yeah.
Grandpa moved here when?
I think 86.
Wow, it's so cool.
86.
And eventually your dad came in the 90s.
Yes.
With your mom.
Yes.
And then they opened a restaurant.
In 93.
And they got to keep their Taiwan identity through the food and that experience while still also becoming Canadian at the same time.
Not enough, I would argue, though.
Are they very Taiwanese still?
I
like it. I
find it often happens is if you find your own community here, you
so you can get stuck in it.
Yeah.
So are they very much in the community there?
Yeah.
Comfortable?
Yes. They found a bunch of people that speak Mandarin.
Creatures of habit.
Yes, and that didn't push them to learn English enough, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay.
So like they find their bubble and they stay in it.
I'm sure their English is way better than my Chinese, I would imagine, after living here all these years. You know?
Maybe. Can you hold up a conversation?
In Chinese with like kindergarten kids.
Okay.
Like that would be my limit.
So we had a rule in my house. We weren't allowed to speak English to my parents.
Oh, you had the no English policy like I had teaching.
Yeah. The problem is we never really conversed anyway. So it was almost a waste of that rule, you know? So like the only thing that we really said was like, oh my God. So that's barely
Oh my God, that's so Taiwanese.
Right? Yeah. What really forced me to practice Mandarin was all the international students that came from China and Taiwan. So if I raised a kid in Taiwan, I might speak English to them at home because they have Chinese everywhere all day, every day anyway.
Well, maybe one day you'll live in Taiwan for to have an experience.
I would like
Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, I have thought about that.
You can come visit me in Kaohsiung.
For sure.
With that said, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Brother.
Yeah, this is good.
And I'll see you in Taiwan, hopefully.
Hopefully one day.
Or in Vancouver next year.
Yeah.
Catch you in the next one.